Hey everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast, and you know the drill by now. This week we've got the full crew in the house once again, so I'll be kicking the ball over to John, Randall, and I here in just a little bit for some video game conversation. We're kind of all over the map this week. We start off talking about both John and Randall had kind of resolved themselves, if you will, to not purchase any new video games in the year of 2026. I think John cracked quite a while back based on the conversation we had here, but Randall finally broke down as well and pre-ordered the new Star Fox game, which actually just came out the other day. So I'm excited I picked that up as well. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to dig into that one and give some first impressions on a proper episode here coming up soon. But then we kind of veer off from there and talk a little bit of retro. John kind of rigged up a retro setup recently and then talked about digging out his old PS2 and whatnot and using that as like a DVD player. But we talk about some various like ROMs and emulation and stuff like that. And then we end up talking about because of the Super Nintendo mini controllers having such short cables, we kind of talk about Nintendo and the issues they've had with that over the years, whether it be the GameCube cables or all the way back to the original Famicom. And then Randall brings up his like new Virtual Boy Switch device or attachment, although he hasn't had a chance to properly dig into that yet, but just kind of decided that he is going to end up keeping that. And yeah, we talked some various hardware emulators like the Analog and Steam Deck and even the Thor stuff, which I was totally unfamiliar with before John and Randall brought it to my attention here on the conversation we had. So yeah, I'll be kicking it over to that in just a little bit here, but as always, you know the drill. I got to talk about some of the stuff that I've been playing lately, and before I get into some of the actual like demos that I want to give a shout out to, we are just wrapping up our 5th annual Pursuing Pixels James Jam Game Gam. It was supposed to wrap up as of midnight, 30 minutes ago from when this episode goes live, but we've had some issues over the weekend. I've just had a super busy schedule where the itch website's been running super slow, and then like I said, I've been super busy, so in the times that I've tried to do some streams, it's been while the site's been running super laggy and whatnot, so I did extend the deadline by 1 day or 24 hours, so I'm hoping by tonight when I get home, again, tonight in reference to when this episode comes out or gets published, but yeah, later today I'm going to jump on and play the rest of the games, or at least all the rest of the ones that I can get to work, and I've been having a blast so far. The first stream was great. It's been almost a year since I hopped on and did the last live stream, so that means it was probably shortly after I wrapped up the last Pursuing Pixels James Jam Game Gam, last time around. So it's just been really fun to get back into the mix. Got to check out actually John's entry, which I know he mentioned he didn't really get to get a proper game in there, but still has like a nice Pico 8 menu screen with some cool music and soundscape stuff going on in the background. So just really cool to see some new folks jamming with us for their, first time around. And then, of course, having some of the same folks that we've had jam with us, over the years in the past. So really looking forward to digging into the rest of those. And we'll have the, winners and everything announced, I guess, within 24 hours from when this episode goes live. So yeah, really looking forward to that. But as for some of the demos that I've been playing, I've been, just kind of ripping through a bunch of demos on Steam and Switch and whatnot lately. And there's a few that I really wanted to give a shout out to, 2 of them being from the same developer. One is a pretty new demo. I don't believe the game is out just yet, and I've had my eyes on this one for quite some time, just following the developer on social media. I believe it's Programmancer is the name of the developer, and the name of the game, it's a bit of a mouthful here. It's called The Transylvania Adventure of Simon Quest. And if some of those words, sound familiar or ring a bell, this is definitely like an 8-bit Castlevania-inspired, homage/parody game, because there's definitely a lot of humor in there as well. But I don't want to diminish the game itself by calling it a parody game, because the gameplay, it definitely feels like a super tight NES-era Castlevania game. Think Castlevania 1 or 3 or even Castlevania 2, because they're definitely kind of spoofing off that, I believe Simon's Quest is the name of Castlevania 2. So they're kind of just spoofing off that with the name, and even your character in this game, your name is Simon Quest, going on the Transylvania adventure. But it's just such a love letter to that era of game. And I wasn't somebody that grew up playing those NES Castlevania games, but I did scoop them up over the years, on my in my retro collection, and have played them on various emulators and whatnot. And those are some of my favorite original NES games. They just play so great, especially 1 and 3. I tend to prefer the more streamlined approach. And it's really cool with this game here, and at least in the demo, you could pick from like, I want to play like story mode or I want to play action mode, which it said that it was going to like expedite the process and like talking to people in the towns. I picked action mode, of course, to just kind of, move things along, especially while just checking out the demo. But the game is just oozing with personality, oozing with style. And again, it feels just like those old 8-bit, NES Castlevania games, but with a little bit of modern polish. Of course, it's in, I believe, like a full widescreen presentation. And then you can do, one of my favorite things about this game is you can do this like slide maneuver, kind of like a Mega Man slide. So you hold down, down and then press jump. And instead of jumping, you'll slide across the ground. But in this game, you legitimately will slide across like at least half of the screen, if not 3/4 of it. And then while you're sliding, you can jump at the same time. So they will lay out like, the candles that you break and drop your various power-ups or pickups or coins or whatever it might be, hearts in this case, I think. They'll kind of lay them out and you can see, oh, there's clearly like a slide pattern here where I can like go and knock these off and your momentum will like carry you off the ledge. And if I jump at a perfect time, like they're, just like they lay out coin patterns in Mario where you can see, oh, if I do this jump at this perfect time, I'll, collect all these coins and also execute this perfect maneuver. Like I really like how they kind of telegraph some of that stuff, with the layout and everything. And it seems like it's going to be a full-blown like mini Metroidvania, or I shouldn't say mini, but like a full-blown like Metroidvania map. I don't think it's going to be like individual levels like some of those earlier Castlevania games are. I can't say that for certain, being that it is just the demo here, but I really, really had a blast with that one. I think it popped up just on my Steam, like, I don't know, dashboard or whatever, just saying that it was a recently released demo. And I was like, oh man, I kind of forgot about this game. I had been following it for so long. And then that led me down a path to check out a demo for one of their other games that came out. I think, I know it's out on Switch as well. And I want to say it's maybe like a year or two old at this point, but it's called Prison City. And it basically plays very similarly. Like this developer seems to really lean into that 8-bit NES era of pixel art, though it seems a little bit souped up. It seems like it's doing a little bit more than what you could have done on that platform. But it's another game that feels very inspired by Castlevania, those 8-bit run and gun hack and slash platformers with maybe a little bit more Mega Man thrown into the mix. That Transylvania adventure of Simon Quest is like purely leaning into the Castlevania side of things, where this game here, you kind of play as like a big, burly bruiser character. But instead of just doing like, beat 'em up punches, you kind of have this like boomerang, like, I don't know, like arc thing that you can throw, and you can throw a ton of them. It's not just one. You can kind of keep spamming it. I don't think you can like unlimitedly keep throwing them out, and you can throw it in, any of 8 directions. But there's just some really great, solid gameplay. I think you can also do a slide in this game, not anywhere near as beefy or juicy as the slide in Simon Quest, but you can still do some solid action platforming, and it's just a ton of fun. It's pretty tricky, both of these games. They're not overly difficult, but they're definitely leaning into that retro era of difficulty as well. And I just had an absolute blast playing both of these games. I think I actually played the Prison City demo first, just because I was like, oh, this one's on Switch, so I might just scoop this game up, and I most definitely will. It's been on my wish list ever since it was released on Switch, and I've just been kind of waiting for either a sale or just a time to, I'm trying to lean into the mentality that John and Randall had at the start of the year of just like, okay, I do have a million games. I don't need to buy every single game every time it goes on a, deep discount on Steam or whatever the reason might be. But I really just had an absolute blast with both of those demos. And then one more demo I just want to give a quick shout out to that's totally in a different vein. The game is called WOIM, WOIM, and I think it's kind of like Worm, I know it's kind of like Worm because you play as like these worms. It's a top-down Sokoban style puzzle game, and I will admit I did not get very far in this demo. It's one of those puzzle games that really leans into the difficulty right off the bat. As soon as they show you the ropes, they're like, okay, we're taking the training wheels off and you got to figure this stuff out. But there's just some really cool mechanics. Like one of the levels that I got stumped on right away was there's like, you can move around, again, top-down grid-based puzzle game, and you're just trying to get your worm to the various exits. I think there might be multiple exits, and it is one of those games that I love this touch when like the actual overworld is like a level in and of itself, and you have to solve little puzzles to then enter the next, open the gate to open the path to the next stage or the next batch of stages or whatever. And then once you clear enough of those, you can open the next area. Again, only having played, I probably got through 5 levels in this game, if that, because it really started to get tricky. And also I was like, okay, this game is really cool. I'm definitely just going to end up buying this at some point. But the point I was going to make, like the level that I got stumped on, there's like a pair of scissors. And if you position your worm properly within those scissors, or if you kind of like move through them in the right if you just work it out correctly, it'll cut your worm in half, but then you'll have 2 individual worms, or you might just there were a couple other things that like switch the direction of your worm. So like you're moving, up, down, left, and right, steering, if you will, from like the worm's head or like the eyeball at the front of the worm. But then you might hit a trigger that switches, and now the eyeball is at the opposite end of the worm. Or like I said, once you cut your worm in half, you might have 2 worms. Or like I said, I didn't get too deep into the mechanics because I was just like, oh man, this is breaking my brain. And I would prefer it to break my brain after I've already purchased the game and I'm, trying to solve these puzzles properly here. But it just has such a great sense of style. Like it almost looks like it's definitely, hand drawn or some kind of computer digital art or whatever. But it almost looks like it's made out of like paper cutouts or something like that. Like it almost looks like it's made out of construction paper, and it's just got some really juicy like feedback and screen shake and sound design as you squirm along the tile-based grid and stuff like that. It's just a really, really slick game that immediately caught my eye from like the thumbnail and then just watching the quick trailer or whatever the screenshots that they had on Steam, and was definitely not disappointed with the demo, other than the fact that I was, I guess, disappointed in my mental capacity for solving some of these puzzles, because I was a little bit embarrassed. I was like, good thing I'm not live streaming this, because this would be embarrassing that I couldn't get any further than maybe the 5th level here. But yeah, before I, at the risk of just rambling, on and on here, because I did play a couple other demos that I'll probably save for another time, or a proper episode of the podcast when I'm talking with John and Randall next time. Although I definitely am hoping we can dig into some Star Fox. I still haven't even unwrapped my copy yet, but it just came out a couple days ago here, so I'm looking forward to firing that up next week or this coming week here. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing what the final results are here as well for the 5th annual Pursuing Pixels James Jam Game Gam. Thanks again to everybody who jammed along with us this year. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing what the results turn up, and seeing if anybody digs into some post-jam updates. Or I know some folks were working on a game and didn't quite get it across the finish line, so I'll be curious to see if anybody still ends up, finishing or working on their game after the fact. So yeah, just always a blast getting these game jams up and running. It definitely was a little bit smaller this time around, but it was honestly a little bit nice with how busy I've been. I think I mentioned that last time around, not having so many entries to dive through, but we still had 20. So really, really awesome showing this year. Again, thanks to everybody for jamming with us. And yeah, until next week, we will catch you then, and take care.
Similarly, I'll be transparent where I'm breaking my own vow to not buy games this year, because I'm going to buy that Star Fox game on Switch too. That's gonna
nice.
happen. That's gonna be what breaks my ice. But at least I made it to June. I feel like that's pretty good.
That's not bad, considering that I don't think I lasted past the episode.
That's totally fair. Totally
I thought you were still going strong.
No, I picked up a lot of little stuff on Steam. But yeah, one of the things I did want to talk about as a like save it for the cast thing was my little retro setup. Now that, like, partially because of being sour on Nintendo, I was like, oh well, I want to play Earthbound now that I'm starting up Deltarune. And I was like, oh, but I do technically have access to Earthbound on the SNES Classic Mini. So, like, yeah, my whole setup now of setting up the SNES Classic Mini, the NES Classic Mini, and now, because we wanted to have a functional DVD player with a remote, technically.
I feel you there.
Now the PS2 has come over, so, like, the bedroom old, like, it was a generation of flat screen LCD TVs that, like, I can't be more than like 24 inches, if that. But it had like a built-in DVD player, AV output, and HDMI as well. So it was
nice.
Like, hey, that's not a bad setup to be playing a bunch of SNES games and NES games on.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that you had done that whole setup and kind of like, quote unquote jailbroke.
What are you talking about?
Systems.
No, I
didn't. I love that. That's one of the
fun.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I've wanted to have one of those. And I just think back wanted to like, I'm mad that I missed out on getting any of those mini systems just because I always read about how easy it is to do that. And I think about back to my days with like the Cyclo DS Evolution that I had on my DS with all my ROMs and stuff, which again, for the most part, I pretty much just had the games I owned, but it was like I can just have all my GBA games like on demand, just like you do on the Switch now, where you can just jump on and I got all my downloaded games right on here. Like, man, that was like my first little taste of that. And man, and that was even just, browsing through a list of games in alphabetical order, like, no little, thumbnails or anything like that. But
and like
even still, it's just so satisfying.
Yeah, Mikey talking about getting the DS and like hunting for DS games, just like that got me back in the mindset of like, yeah, I have all of these Game Boy Advance games. Like I have a wealth of a library that I can just play at any time, and I don't necessarily need to be paying Nintendo a subscription in order to play the games that I physically have.
Damn right. Yeah. Like, and just, no internet connectivity necessary at that, right? Just like, they will not change.
Love like having an entire like media console that doesn't connect to the internet at all. It's great.
Yeah.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
That's such a cool project. That's fun. Do you have two controllers for those things, or like, do you have a Wii controller?
So I just found out that I do actually have two SNES controllers, which is wild because I was just getting all of the cables out from the rat's nest behind like the main media console.
Naturally.
But like, I was opening up a drawer and there was just a second SNES Classic Mini controller in there. And I was like, when did I get this? Why would I? Who was I playing 2-player SNES games?
Did it come with two, or did it only come with one when you got
Maybe it came with two.
I legitimately don't remember.
Same.
I gotta think. Maybe it did, because I can't imagine they were selling a ton of those like individually, separately outside of that, like unless you bought it like from Nintendo directly.
But I gotta admit,
it had to come with two.
That like NES controller, like the cable being like 3 feet and is just it's an embarrassment.
Like, what were they thinking? They were like, we got to make it just as the same length as the Famicom controller.
Literally, yeah.
Like,
I think that might have been what they were thinking. Yeah.
And I'm
like the dumbest shit ever.
The like PS2 controller, and I'm like, good God, this thing could like reach all the way to the next room.
Nintendo's always kind of been bad about that too.
Yeah.
I never remember having an issue with the Super Nintendo as a kid, but like GameCube had pretty short cables.
Yep.
Like, that was the first system I ever bought, like an extension cable.
Yep.
I have to be leaning forward in order to play the GameCube like on my couch. So like
maybe it's because Nintendo knew like, hey, for most people are still hooking this GameCube up to like a regular
VHS.
TV, that not an HD flat screen or anything. So like you're likely going to still be like sitting on the floor, pretzel style with your head tilted up at the TV. Like it's we're sitting on a couch now, Nintendo, come on.
And that's where the age comes in because playing the NES Classic Mini and like my neck just gets so like fucked after like such a short period of time that I've mostly been playing the SNES Classic Mini just because I'm like, well, this one reaches to the end of the bed. So
yeah. Damn.
I don't know how I ever did that. Like when me and my brother would play like Madden or like Tiger Woods or any of like the games we used to play like back in the day in his room, like he had one of those like, those kind of like, it's not a bean bag, but it's one of those like it's kind of shaped like a chair with like armrests, but it's sort of like a bean bag and it's kind of just like a backrest sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like he had that at like the corner of the foot of his bed and he would sit down there and then I would lay on his bed, like on my stomach with my neck just like tilted straight up for like hours. We like to the point where like it would get to the point where we were playing Madden or something and I'd be like, hey, Bri, pick a play. pick a play, and he'd just be passed out sleeping like in the middle of playing a Madden game.
Yep.
Just like, oh man, I guess we're tapped out on this one.
That's fun.
There have been a few times where I'm like fading in the middle of a gaming session. I was like, ooh, this is why gaming in bed is dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're holding like a Switch or a DS or something over your head and drop that. I know we've all probably done that with like a phone or something. And dropped it on like your elbow or head or something.
Similarly, I think I'm going to keep that Virtual Boy stupid attachment that I bought for the Switch 2, but I think I'm going to have to play it literally that way as people did in the days of yore, with their like laying down so that, it lays on your face kind of thing, as to not crane your neck to play the damn thing for whatever length of time.
Yeah, the only way
is that a massage table behind you?
It literally is, yeah.
No, that doesn't seem like a bad setup either.
No, I thought about that, actually. I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's the move. And it's very supportive.
2 birds, man.
Yeah. No, I needed that. Speaking of like old man and neck issues and whatever else. Yeah, that's where we're living these days.
I feel you there, dude. My back pain today is like absolutely maxed out. It's killing me.
It's brutal.
Yeah. But that's funny about the Virtual Boy, because I always like, the only place I can ever picture playing one of those like quote unquote comfortably is like sitting at like a kitchen island or like, like a bar height counter.
Right.
And like, with your just sitting kind of up tall with like the counters maybe a little higher than it should be. Or like you can prop it up on like put a couple books, dictionaries or something underneath it to like get it up a little higher and have it on that little tripod. But even still, it's like that is
still be like
obviously not
leaning
where I
in,
want to
though.
sit.
Yeah,
it's like obviously not where I want to sit to play games.
Yeah.
Right. You need
how I
it
wanna
to
sit.
like scale to you somehow. Like it would need to, meet you where you're at so you could stay upright and not be all like crane the fuck over.
And it doesn't feel too weighted for you when you're like laying back with it.
Oh, I haven't even tried it yet. I just realized I'm going to keep it, and that's what I'm going to do. So, yeah, we'll find out. There's like some setup involved in it. Like, it's not just open the box and stick the thing in. It seems like you kind of have to build the stand and whatever else to like.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so it's really jumping through hoops here.
I know.
Sparing no expense, Nintendo.
It's really cool that they did it. I just wish they did it a different way. Like I wish it was just like a Virtual Boy mini, although it would be full size, but just make it a Virtual Boy.
That would be
I'll pay more for it. I'd much rather just give me a Virtual Boy with all the games that were ever on a Virtual Boy built into it, and that's all you need.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe they didn't add the other LCD colors.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing of why it failed was they wanted to rush it out and they only had the red one and they didn't wait to manufacture it with all of the planned colors. Mm-hmm. Why not do that? What are you doing?
Especially when they have done stuff but they have done stuff finish up Star Fox 2 or at least release it in the state that it was in. So it's they have kind of done some let's go back and do what we meant to do.
I guess that's true.
So that would be cool, but
be cool if you did.
I guess it's cool that it got anything at all, but yeah, it's not great the way that they rolled it out and the way that eventually that's just going to be a piece of hardware that doesn't work.
Yipper.
The Nintendo service is not a thing anymore.
Yipper.
Yeah.
Unless we can jailbreak that in the distant future, which I'm kind of holding my breath for a potential of, who
but
knows?
all the people
I was going to say
who
you can, but you still would need the Switch, yeah.
All the analog, all the Thors, all of the people making hardware emulation even at this point. I feel maybe we're at the point where someone will pick up the slack or make it open source or something when these companies stop.
Yeah,
right.
That's fair. That Thor thing seems pretty dope too. That's quite a nice handheld there.
I've been hearing good things
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got basically a DS sort of setup, but modern PC kind of sort of powered. Yeah.
Okay, and that's the company that makes it, Thor? Or
I
that's
think it's the name of
the
thing.
Yeah, let me look it up. It's got. I think it has a Y as a vowel in it.
Okay, I'll definitely look into that. That sounds interesting.
It seems super cool.
Oh yeah, it is Ein. Ayn. Thor.
Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Oh yeah, that's a slick looking machine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any idea how much they're going to
that
go
is
for?
a lot. That's a pretty penny.
Yeah, might as well get a Steam Deck.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
except
that
you
is
can't
nice,
get a
though.
Steam Deck because they're sold out.
Yeah, that is nice. It looks like they have like a Steam Deck competitor, the Odin.
Nice. Oh, that makes sense.
So they make a ton of stuff. Okay.
And not one that I'm going to talk about. Probably not, but I've been playing Haiku the Robot. That's the best.
That game rules.
It's the best Hollow Knight. Like it's such a perfect
Wow.
Hollow Knight.
All
and that's you being a big Hollow Knight fan, yeah. So,
Yeah,
wow.
because it's not that difficult.
Yeah, it's a little lighter. But it's not
But it's
easy
still-
either.
look,
Like, I
right.
definitely remember, even right off the bat, I remember just even in the demo or whatever, there's like a part where like when you learn how to do like whatever, I don't know if you run or maybe you turn into like a ball and kind of roll real fast, but like you have to do like a jump over this like pretty huge gap. It's like, oh man, you got to like nail that jump right off the bat. Like they're not making it a cakewalk. So
Yeah, and the bosses
cool.
are all great. Like
This looks sweet.
And I love how
so
each
good.
like zone kind of has like a slight like palette shift. Like it almost feels like you're playing something on like the Super Game Boy, and then you're just like switching like to one of the other like preset palettes.
Oh, I love that.
and it has
It's really
almost
cool.
an identical vibe to Hollow Knight, where it's like, oh, here's a long dead civilization and all of these little freaks that are like you come across in it. It's incredible.
Yeah. But more like mechanical themed as opposed
You're
to
right.
like organic
Instead of
and like
bugs.
bugs
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But it's really cool. Yeah, I played the demo and I think I have it on Steam. I can't remember if like the developer sent it to us way back when but I played a little bit of that too. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool.
It's
And
also
then
very
always was just
funny.
like, I'm gonna get it on Switch eventually.
Mostly going backwards from playing Rusty's Retirement, and it's
Oh
like,
yeah, I forgot you played that.
yeah, as an idle like in universe game or like kind of sequel, I guess. But every time that I run across Rusty, I'm like, hey, it's Rusty from Rusty's Retirement.
That's awesome.
That's fun.